It's another day and it's another cock up by the IWF. Feels like we can't go a week, we can't go a week, we can't go a month, we can't go a year without the IWF doing something extremely stupid. Well, Friday rolls around and there's a news article going around from Inside the Games by Brian Oliver. Now, if you don't follow Brian Oliver or you haven't heard of him, I thoroughly recommend you do so. He's had some incredible scoops over the last sort of 3-4 years while weightlifting's been running through the mill. That's Inside the Games, and Brian's an incredibly passionate journalist and he specialises in covering weightlifting. So anyway, Brian gets a scoop that the IWF is looking to change all the weight classes again. And not only are they looking to change the weight classes, but they're also selecting the Paris 2024 Olympic weight classes. Now, you could see straight away, as soon as these weight classes were published, that the proposed weight classes, they were absolutely nonsensical. I can't even tell you what they were. Take it from me, they were stupid. The ones that stand out to me were the men's classes went from 72 kilos to 92 kilos. Just skipping out one of the best classes in the sport. One of the best classes, the 81 kilo class. We'll just put that in the bin for reasons unknown. The women's, I think, went from 58 to 72. Almost as egregious, not quite, but still ridiculous. You know, get rid of the 64s. Literally the best class at the Olympic Games. Let's just get rid of it. Now, I put up a post on my Instagram saying I was going to make a video on it, discussing it, and luckily Sarah Davis got in touch with me, and she is the athlete rep, and she said, do you want to know what's gone on? So I was like, yeah, absolutely. So I rang Sarah and she's given me the lowdown. Now, as part of the article that Brian wrote, he explained how the Athletes Commission, and Sarah is the head of which, made a comment to the article saying that this was totally unacceptable and that the IWF constitution, which has only just passed after several attempts, states that no changes can be made without the Athletes Commission's consent because they represent the athletes and the sport is nothing without the athletes. Now, Sarah's argument was we don't need to get rid of 10 weight classes. We can keep the 10 weight classes and yeah, we do have to pick 5 for Paris, but we can keep the 10 for World Championships, European Championships, etc. But why are we looking to move the weight classes down to 8 and then rearrange them totally? Now, when I got on the phone to Sarah, she explained the story. So as the story goes, the IWF has been told by the IOC that they need to present a plan for how qualification is going to work by the end of this year. So the qualification for Paris Olympics, they must submit a plan by the end of this year. Now, the problem with this is that the IWF elections aren't until, I think, December 13th, around that point, which means that the committee to decide on the new weight classes won't have been created by that point or won't have time to report back. Now, Sarah's argument, which I think is a very sound one and is totally logical, is that the qualification system needs to be provided, but the weight classes within that system are not that relevant. The IOC don't care whether you give a 70 class, an 80 kilo class, an 85 kilo class, they don't care. All they need to know is how are you going to decide which athletes will come out? I think it's like 170 athletes, whatever it is. How are you going to decide which athletes are selected for the championships? Now, you can put in provisional or draft weight classes for that, say, for the December deadline, and then worry about it next year. I think the final thing's got to be submitted by February next year, which would give time after the IWF elections. Now, Sarah gets sent an email saying, do you realise that they've sort of sat down, a couple of the old boys, obviously Sam Coffer's got his grubby little mitts involved in it, have sat down and basically unilaterally decided what the new weight class is going to be and what the qualification system is going to be. So Sarah manages to attend a meeting and kicks up a fuss, quite rightly, about how the athletes, and no one's been consulted about this. It seems to be just Mr. Jaloud and Mr. Coffer have sat down, had a couple of drinks and gone, let's just do this weight class, let's just do that weight class. The reasons for which, I don't know. One can only assume that because they were about to get voted out of the IWF board, they're exercising their last bit of control. So, the end of the story is that Sarah makes a fuss at this meeting. The story gets printed inside the game, starts to get a bit of traction in the weightlifting community, and the proposals are very quickly dropped by the IWF. So the weight classes that were put out last week have been dropped, and there's going to be a thorough review process. There may be new weight classes created, or they may stick with the existing weight classes and then select 5 female and 5 male classes within those existing 10. We don't really know what's going to happen. What we do know is that it looks like a working group is going to be set up, which is then going to have to report to the Athletes Commission, which is then going to have votes on the IWF Executive Board. So it looks like the nonsense that was going to happen with these silly weight classes has now been prevented by sensible people in the sport stepping up and stopping it. But it just begs the question, what are these people doing? The level of incompetence these people keep displaying repeatedly is frankly mind-blowing, and that says a lot for the IWF, because incompetence is the expected level, but we're going above and beyond the level of incompetence that we've grown used to. And I mean, it would just be nice to go 1 week without the IWF shit in the bed. That would be really nice. I don't think it's going to happen until we get a new board, but that's the story. Big thank you to Sarah for taking the time to speak on the phone with me and explain the situation, and thank you for standing up for our sport. Thank you to all those who are standing up for our sport. I just hope the idiots get voted out.